Hi there, and welcome to TechBlower, and welcome to my Tesla Model 3. There are talks that full self-driving will come to Europe this year. And since Iceland is in Europe, there is a chance that full self-driving will come to Iceland this year. And I have Autopilot, which is included in all Teslas, but I also have Enhanced Autopilot, which includes Navigate on Autopilot. I'm really interested to see, before full self-driving comes here, how these two, Autopilot and Navigate on Autopilot, work on city streets. I know that neither of these are designed to work on city streets, but still, I'm interested to see how these can work on city streets. So let's try it out. So before we go, just a refresher. When Autopilot is on, you will see a blue steering wheel on the screen, and you will also see two blue lines on the screen where the car is driving. But if Navigate on Autopilot is enabled and active, it's not active everywhere in the city streets, you will see a thick blue line in the middle of the street. So watch for that and see where Navigate on Autopilot is enabled and where it's not. But in order to have Navigate on Autopilot enabled, we have to navigate to something. So let's navigate to a mall that is close by here. And I know that we will pass a road or go through a road where Navigate on Autopilot will work. So let's see what happens. The navigation is navigating to this place. It takes 9 minutes. So let's see what happens, and let's see how Autopilot and Navigate on Autopilot work on city streets here in Iceland. And of course there might be some boring parts in between, so I might cut something out, but I will of course show you the interesting parts. So Autopilot and Navigate on Autopilot cannot handle roundabouts, so I cannot activate it right away. And I know when I can activate it when I see a steering wheel appear somewhere. We'll watch for that, and then I will activate Autopilot. And you see the steering wheel coming up here, the gray steering wheel. I'm gonna finish this ramp here, and then I'll enable Autopilot. I have to watch for the traffic, and of course the steering wheel went away. We need to be on the other side here. And now I can enable Autopilot, and it will keep the speed limit on the road, which is 80, and I've configured it to be 5 kilometers over the speed limit. And as you can see, it's rainy and windy here in Iceland. We can never know how the weather is here in Iceland. And Autopilot is still working. And now you see the blue steering wheel and the two lines on the road. And we have a quite sharp turn coming up here. Let's see if Autopilot can handle that, or if it will be disengaged. And now the speed limit goes down to 50. And let's see how it handles that. It read the 50 sign, but still keeping quite high speed. Let's see if Autopilot can handle this sharp turn. Let's see. We have curvature assist active, which is kind of a new feature, and it's still on Autopilot. I'm just holding slightly to the steering wheel. The car is doing everything. But now we're coming into another road on the ramp here, and it's going quite slowly, and I have to take over. It's not going to switch into the lane here, but when we have switched, we should be able to put Autopilot on again. Well, yep. And you saw there that the speed was still being kept, because even though Autopilot wasn't on, I still had cruise control on. So we still only have the two blue lines. I'm hoping that Navigate on Autopilot will be enabled at some parts of this road. So now the car is keeping its lane and keeping its speed, and also slowing down if there are cars coming from other sides or other lanes. And you see here that, I don't know, I guess you see the Jeep here. It's not coming into my lane and the car is just keeping its speed. But there is a car here in front of me. Let's see if we have to slow down for that car. Yeah, we have to do that a little bit. So this is so nice. I just have to slightly hold the steering wheel and the car does the rest. Keeps it lane, but even though we have 3 lanes here, it's only autopilot. We don't have the thick line in the middle showing us that it's Navigate on Autopilot. So let's see if that really gets enabled here on this route. If not, we'll just have to pick another route. The lines are not really quite clear on the road here, and as you can see, the blue lines are jiggling a little bit, but the car is still keeping its lane. And for Navigate on Autopilot and Autopilot, it won't stop on red lights, so I have to keep eye on that. But if there's a car in front of me and there's a red light, I don't have to worry, because the car will stop, because the other cars are slowing down. So it seems like on this road, Navigate on Autopilot is not getting enabled. That's really strange. And now the car is actually having some trouble finding the center of the lane here. And the car is still going quite fast, but there's a car in front of me and slowing down for the red lights. In my mind, it's slowing too late for this red light and for these cars that are stopping here, because it had to brake really heavily to stop here. And since there is a car in front of me, I don't have to push the juice pedal. It should go with the flow. So the car in front of me started driving, so my car started driving as well. And now you see on the map here that I need to take a right turn, but since Navigate on Autopilot is not enabled, I have to do it myself, and I have to watch for other cars on the other lane. So here I have to disengage, and I also have to go in here to reach my destination, so I have to do the turn signal and turning myself here. And let's see if I can enable, yeah, I can enable Autopilot here. Nope, or not. Let's see. Nope. It's not allowing me to set Autopilot on here, even though the gray steering wheel was appearing there on the screens for a short while. So we arrived at the mall here, but we didn't see Navigate on Autopilot working. So we have to pick another spot. I'll just have to park the car and change the location in the navigation. So let's navigate to a different place and see if we can get Navigate on Autopilot enabled here in the city streets. Let's go into the settings and make sure that Navigate on Autopilot is actually enabled. And yes, it is. And I had forgot that you can actually see down here that Navigate on Autopilot is enabled, but the road has to allow Navigate on Autopilot to function. So let's hope that the road that we are going to now enables or is allowing Navigate on Autopilot. And it is the map data that decides what roads Navigate on Autopilot are enabled on or can be active on. So let's enable Autopilot. We are kind of on the same road as before, but just going the opposite direction. And now we see that we have a green light and we had a yellow light, and if it was a red light the car wouldn't have stopped, because Navigate on Autopilot doesn't support stop on red light, unfortunately. You have to have FSD for that. Still only have Autopilot here. So let's see what we get. We have to change lane once to the right, so I'm gonna disengage Autopilot and change lanes. and then enable autopilot again. And there's a car coming here on the right side. The car is not stopping for that car, and the speed has increased to 80. And the car is speeding up slowly, and we of course have a car in front of us as well. Now we have a bus lane, but the bus is just stopped, so the car doesn't have to worry about that. But now we have an off-ramp, and now I have to disengage autopilot again and take the turn myself, and I can enable autopilot again on the off-ramp. So let's see how the car handles that. And now we have up on the screen, poor weather detected, navigate on autopilot unavailable. So hopefully the weather gets a little bit better, so we can show you how navigate on autopilot works here. So that is one thing as well. I live in Iceland, and here we can have all kinds of weather. So if it cannot handle a little bit of rain and wind, when should I be able to use it? It's often rainy and windy here in Iceland. It's not like there's a tornado here or something. Let's see what happens. I know I've seen navigate on autopilot work on these streets, and now the car is just slowing down too much. There's a green light, we should just go forward. So I press the pedal a little bit to let the car go faster. But now we're kind of in the wrong lane. But I'm only on autopilot, and I don't know why the speed is not going up. It should go up to 80, but I have to switch lanes now. Maybe it's too late. No. So I disengaged autopilot and switched lanes, putting autopilot back on. And still it says poor weather detected. Navigate on autopilot unavailable. That's so silly. It's just rain, come on. So I'm not sure I will be able to show you today how navigate on autopilot works in city streets. But with autopilot, it's kind of simple. Of course, it's not simple how it's implemented, but the car simply stays in its lane, keeps the speed, and slows down if the cars in front are slowing down. And you can see that the car is going a little bit back and forth in the lane. Maybe it's due to the rain, I don't know, or the poor markings on the road. But I just wanted to show you a real-world example of how this can work. And it seems like, even though we just have a little bit of rain and wind, navigate on autopilot doesn't work. How will it work with FSD when it comes to Europe and to Iceland? Will it just work in very rare conditions when we have sun and dry roads? I don't know. And now again, I would need to change lanes, so I have to disengage autopilot and switch lanes. And it seems like I can put autopilot back on the off ramp here. Let's see what the car does. It's really not confident here, and I'm gonna take over. It was not confident in this turn. And we will try one more location where I'm quite sure navigate on autopilot should work. Just have to park first to change the navigation. So let's input a different location to navigate to a place where I know navigate on autopilot should get activated. So let's back out of here, and hopefully navigate on autopilot can function even though we have a little bit of rain. It should be able to, come on. I'm in a parking lot, so I can't activate autopilot yet, but I will activate it when I can. So let's signal into the road And we should be able to enable autopilot here. Yes. Be attentive, keep your hands on the wheel. Yes, I will. But will we get navigate on autopilot? I'm not very hopeful. The weather is similar as before. So let's see. Still just autopilot on here. And you see that the car slows down when the cars in front slow down. And sometimes I've seen the car slow down when cars are merging into the lane. So let's see what happens here. There's a car coming here. Will it slow down? The car wasn't going to, so I did. It's courtesy to let people in. So that's something that autopilot isn't very good at, but I would guess full self-driving is better at. And yet, poor weather detected and navigate on autopilot is not available. In my mind, this is so bad. Why? This is just some rain, as I said, and some wind. Come on. But at least where this message is coming up, we know the roads are allowing navigate on autopilot, but the weather is simply preventing us from using it. So at least here with autopilot, I don't have to steer the car, I don't have to think about the speed, unless the car isn't picking up the speed according to the changing speed limit. And I shouldn't need to think about when cars are merging into the lane, the cars should stop for them. But sometimes, as you saw before, it doesn't. And now I don't know why the car isn't speeding up more. We have 80 on the street, yeah. And of course, when I started to talk about it, the car started speeding up. And we still see the symbol here indicating that navigate on autopilot is enabled but not active. And now I would really want the car to let these people in. It didn't, so I braked and disengaged autopilot that way. Yeah, I'm sad about the weather. I picked this day to record this video, and of course I get bad weather. But this simply shows that in not that bad weather, it's just some rain, navigate on autopilot doesn't work. That's really sad. And now we have a red light. There's a car in front of me that is turning and another car, so I don't have to worry. The car will stop. But not at the next light, but the light after that, I will have a 90-degree turn and autopilot can't handle that. So you'll see that I have to take over and do the turn myself. But the car should drive forward now, yeah? Just because the car in front of me started driving. And now we are approaching. Did you see the car there? Very close, and my car stopped a little bit, preventing crashing into the car. And now I have the light that I was talking about, where I have to take a 90-degree turn. And there are some cars here. I will show you that autopilot won't handle this. I will be careful. I will put my turn signal on, and I will be really surprised if autopilot can do this. No, it was going to drive into the next car or something, and now I can't enable it. Enable it now. Nope. The lines are not clear here, so I can't enable autopilot even. Let's wait for the gray steering wheel. Oh, it appeared slightly, but I still have the adaptive cruise control, but it didn't adapt to the speed limit, so I have to lower it. And now I have to turn on this roundabout. It showed curvature assist. I'm not sure why, because autopilot wasn't enabled. But let's see here. We're out of the roundabout and see if we can enable autopilot here. Not yet, probably not clear enough lines. Here we are. Nope. Auto steer temporarily unavailable. Whether it's due to the road or the weather, I'm not sure. We have another roundabout here. Let's drive out of that one. And let's... No? Why can't I enable autopilot? Okay, finally. The lines are not clear here. But it's a little bit more clear here. We have a light here. If this light turns red, I will have to disengage autopilot. But fortunately, it stayed green. And as you can see, we are in really small streets here. And the light is still green here. It actually changed the speed limit here. But now we need to have a 90-degree turn into the parking lot, and autopilot won't handle that, so I'll do it myself. And we're almost at our destination. Unfortunately, I was only able to show you autopilot, but not navigate on autopilot today, due to the bad weather that the car detected. But I just wanted to show you a real-life scenario. In a city where I want to use both autopilot and navigate on autopilot, but the only thing that I could use was autopilot. And autopilot is very limited. It can only keep you on the lane and keep you in the correct speed. It can't change lane, it can't take off ramps or on ramps, so it's quite limited. But with navigate on autopilot, you can do these things. The car can change lanes if I put the turn signal on, and it can also take off ramps and on ramps. So I was really hoping I was able to show you that on this trip, but I will definitely repeat this video at some other time where the weather is a little bit better. And of course, when full self-driving comes to Iceland, I will definitely subscribe to that and show you how that works here on the roads in Iceland. I really hope you like this kind of video, where I'm just driving and showing you how the car can handle different situations. And in this case, you saw that for autopilot it worked kind of fine. It was a little bit jiggly at some places, but navigate on autopilot didn't work because of the rain and the wind. But this simply shows what the car can do and what the car can't do. But I'm really hoping that full self-driving will work better, even though there are not that good of condition on the road and the weather conditions, of course. So if you like this video, please check out my other content on my channel, and please consider subscribing, because it really helps my channel grow. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. See you in my next video.